It's the pleasure is in the journey, not in the goal. It never goes as planned. And you take the pleasure of fixing the things and fixing the shit. It's like you have to fix the shit all the time. And that's the real pleasure at the end. And then finally, when you get to the goal, when you get there, there is no pleasure. You're usually disappointed.
Are you working in research, trying to do the best science you can?
Are you a team leader, a research assistant, postdoc, PhD student, or any other type of scientist?
Are you looking for a place where you can sit, relax, and listen to inspiring people?
Well, we have good news for you. You've just found what you're looking for.
Hi everybody, my name is Renaud Pourpre.
And I am Jonathan Weitzman.
Welcome to the Lonely Pipette,
helping scientists
do better science.
Hi everyone, my name is André Choulika. I work in genome engineering and cancer therapies at Selectus, and I feel thrilled to share my tips with the lonely pipettes.
So André Choulika left his native Lebanon to pursue a PhD in Jean-François Nicolas' lab at the Institut Pasteur in Paris, followed by a postdoc in Richard Mulligan's lab at Harvard Medical School and Children's Hospital in Boston, where he pioneered the use of meganucleases to edit the genome. In 1999, he was one of the founders of the biotech company Selectus and is currently the Chief Executive Officer, CEO. André was the chairman of Calixt, a Selectus subsidiary focused on food and agriculture products, and he's the chairman of Selectus Biologicals, an American subsidiary. The Selectus Group has raised nearly $700 million since its creation. He has published scientific papers. He's the co-inventor of many patents on genome editing technologies. André was the president of France Biotech, and he is on the board of the Institut Pasteur. He received business training in the HEC Challenge program, and he was recently awarded the French Chevalier of the Légion d'honneur. André, thanks for coming to share your tips with the Lonely Pipette.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, André. I have to tell that the way you said the Lonely Pipette was really awesome. We should record your voice for the next jingle of the show, I think.
Be my guest.
So we like to start this discussion with knowing your origin story. We want to know how you decided to become a scientist.
Well, I decided to become a scientist, first of all, because initially I didn't really knew what I needed to do. And truly, it was when I was in high school, I had the first teaching on DNA translation and the way ribosomes worked. And I looked at this and I said, like, holy A, is that how like nature works? Is it that organized? Is this like how we translate a messenger RNA and how messenger RNA is copied from like DNA? That was in the early 80s, was probably the beginning of the discovery of this, but it was in our high school books. And I was fascinated and I said, that's exactly what I want to do. This is a combination between a very structured, calculated thing, and finally it results in nature. And since then, to tell you the truth, the fascination never declined, never ended. And the more discoveries comes in, the more the fascination about how nature works is growing in me. And I'm very envious of young people starting into this field because I have the feeling that there is no end to this, and the 21st century is going to be a huge adventure in the field of life sciences in general, every field. And with the technologies flowing in, they're going to discover things we have no idea today. This is crazy.
So I can feel the passion, but if you hadn't become a scientist, what else would you have become? What were the other options?
So I had two options in leaving the high school. I wanted to be a painter.
You mean painting houses or painting tableaux?
Painting houses of courses. Yeah. No. Yeah, making art. Painting art, like doing art, sculpture, etc. I love art and sculpture. So, and this is what I thought I wanted to be. So I signed up at Penningen, which was like a training to get into Beaux-Arts in Paris. And then I signed up also for life sciences and medicine at this time in Université Paris 5 to become a doctor, which didn't work actually. I failed my exams, my first year's exams. And then in the middle of the two, I said, what should I do? I said, okay, let's go for science and medicine, because if I do this, I can always come back and start painting. But if I start painting and I start painting again, then there is no way back to become a scientist. So I made this choice. And of course, I'm not a painter. By the way, with the lockdown, I bought a lot of frames and start painting again.
And was any time when you thought about leaving science?
No, never. So maybe when I'll be at the end like an old person and not really useful to this, maybe I'll do something else. But today, I'd like to die as a scientist. Actually, I don't consider myself, seriously, I don't consider myself as a scientist. I'm more sitting on the bench and looking at people doing science in the company, which fascinate me. And it's a good thing because they're so much smarter than me and to do so much better experiments and science, and they're so much more focused. But being involved in this is something that is definitely makes my heart beat and makes me wake up in every morning to get to do my work. It's a huge excitement.
So maybe on that point, what was the initiator, the catalyst for the switch from being a scientist to being whatever you consider yourself now? And what was hard about that transition from bench scientist to entrepreneur?
The thing is, I always saw myself as an entrepreneur. Even being a scientist at the bench, when I was in hard medical school or Institut Pasteur doing experiments, I love doing experiments. I'm like really a manual person, and just looking at a gel made me super excited. And like a sequencing gel or like a thousand blot, etc. I really loved this. But I never saw myself as doing this for the rest of my life. I always saw myself as becoming an entrepreneur, and starting a company was something that excited me since early, not childhood, but probably mid of my teenagers. So it's something that is really deeply rooted in me. But jumping the gap is difficult. And when I went to the United States, working with people such as Richard Mulligan, and seeing all these PIs in the US between Bob Langer and others, Richard, etc., they all had companies, and they were jumping from the company to their academic position, back to the company, etc. And it was super fluid, and they were doing a lot of different things. And I said, well, is that so easy? And suddenly I received a mail from the French consulate in Boston saying that they're starting, that was in 1998. It was like Claude Allègre at this time. And that was like this competition for innovative company startups. And so I said, okay, let's write a business plan. Probably this was kind of a trigger, and being in this Boston environment where everyone was between scientist and entrepreneur, and the fluidity between these two worlds was very combined together, while in France it was totally segregated, and that's what made the trigger. So I went back to Pasteur, tried to have like an appointment with Maxime Schwartz, who was the CEO of Pasteur at this time. And it was difficult to get an appointment with him. And I remember it was Margaret Buckingham that went to see Maxime and she said, you need to see André and like talk to him. Like, so Maxime said yes. And then finally he said, I'll support you, but you have to come back to Pasteur because we're starting an incubator and I want you to be a spin-off of Pasteur, unless we'll not support you in this. So I said, okay, and packed up and came back to France and started the company. And seriously, it was seamless. I really felt no hard feelings, was neither afraid or anything like this. When you're young, what can happen to you? Nothing. This is not, starting a company is no risk because you can always do something else. If it fails, it's fine. It's not like, falling from a cliff or going to war where you can die, etc. It's just starting a company. It's great.
I guess most people are afraid that to be broke at the end, because they don't have the clear vision of what is it to start a company.
Yeah, well,
so maybe...
okay, you're broke. It's okay. These people are highly educated people. They can always find a job. There are zillions of potential jobs for them. So it's fine. Like when you go in the Bay Area and like San Francisco and the Boston area, when you're like 35, you have to have failed at least 2 companies and have scars about this. So you have your credentials. If you don't have these credentials of failing at least 2 companies, then you're nothing. And plus, one of the things why I started the company, that's also part of this. Science is very creative. There's a lot of innovation, things you have to put your brain at work, etc., which is not always the case in a lot of different type of employment, but science is definitely putting your brain at work. But it's very disciplined. There is guidelines and there is a frame to do science, which is well organized, fortunately. And plus, when you write a paper, you have, the abstracts and like the introduction, the materials and methods, etc. When you start a company, it's creativity all around the place. It's creativity around the way you're going to do the science, the business model, the way you're going to manage people, the culture of the company you're going to do, the design of the logo, the way you're going to do the architecture of your building, etc. All of this is creativity. So creativity is all over the place, which is not the case in science. It's more rigorous.
About this transition, maybe are there mentoring practices that you learned from your mentors and that you have brought to your job now as a CEO of a company?
Well, I don't have a mentor. I have mentors in general, and I've been grabbing a lot of bits and pieces from all around the place. But I think there is a necessity of mentoring people. I try to do this on a regular basis. Actually, I always help and give advice if advice is asked from me. And I love discussing with people and share my experience, sometimes that are painful experience I had in the past, while my mentors share some painful experience they had in the past. And when you're a scientist, you have no idea of how the capitalist world works. You don't even know, as I didn't even know what a capital of a company was, what was capitalism in general. I learned it the hard way, and that's good. And now I'm like excited to share with everyone that is interested in helping mentoring this. Actually, I've done this with people from Paris 7 this week. I think it's real duty of every entrepreneur and every person to do this.
What do you consider as bad mentoring advice that you heard from others?
Bad advice. There's no bad advice, actually. There's always advices after it's your sense of how you're gonna do this. Most of the time, you have tons of bad advices every day, and usually you hear your guts and say, this is a good advice, this is a bad advice. The thing is, during my 22 years of like Selectus, you're the CEO and you have to take the decisions. And a lot of people say, oh, you cannot take all the decisions, etc. You have to leave people take some decisions, strategic decisions instead of you, and you have to delegate. And finally, when there is a mistake, then you realize that all the fingers are pointed towards you. For good reasons. You're the CEO. You're the CEO. So if you take a bad decision, or if you let someone take a bad decision for you, then it becomes your problem. It became my problem sometimes in a real bad time. All the fingers were pointed at me, and I realized that these bad decisions were my decisions, even if I didn't take this decision. So today, and I think these were bad advices that were given to me to let others take the responsibility of something I had the responsibility for. And then finally now, when I take a decision in total accordance with my personal feelings and my brains. If I don't agree with myself in taking this type of decision, I don't take the decision. And that was a bad advice. I think it was the worst thing to do.
So you've you have had an incredible time at Selectis, because normally you hear that the founders are kicked out after a few years, and yet you're still the CEO, you're still running the company. How have you managed that?
Well, yeah, like the scientific CEO is kicked out. Well, it depends. It depends of the personality of people. Some people are not adapted to this and make confusion between their role of scientist, and like they played, for example, chief scientific officer and CEO together and put their nose in every experiment, etc., because this is what they've learned. And so maybe they have a terrific science, and you cannot let them continue on the same pace with this, and you have to kick them out. Some others makes a good transition. Actually, I've never been the chief scientist of the company, and I've always let smarter people than me doing this. First of all, I always hire smarter people than me because, the principle, you don't hire people to tell them what to do. You hire people so they will tell you what is needed to be done. That's, I think, it's a Steve Jobs quote. And I truly believe into this. So far, I think that great biotechs or technological companies, CEOs, are usually people that understand profoundly the science. So most of the time, if you have the feel of a good management and good leadership, and you're the originator of the scientific idea and understand it really well, then I think you'll make a greater leader at the end and take the company at a higher place than if you just take a professional CEO that would be a low-tone company at the end. Most of the big companies that succeeded at the end are usually the scientific founder, but it doesn't work all the time. This is why also we have the feeling that most of the time the scientific founder and CEO is kicked out. It's not necessary and it's not a given. It's always a sort out at the time. But sometimes you have also investors that saying, oh, he's a scientist, like it's crazy Bob, like we have to kick out crazy Bob, is going to lose our money, and put a professional CEO that is going to break the company from the inside. If the scientist, the founder, scientific founder, have the real feel of how to conduct the company and understands that he's not the brains in there, but he's just supposed to be the organizer to build up and grow the company with great people, then this would happen.
So you did that, and in fact, if I'm not wrong, you did the management training at the prestigious HEC school.
No, it's Paris. It's Pierre et Marie Curie, which is a prestigious company. HEC is just like business school. No, it's a great place.
So because you stepped up from this position to know how to manage and to then teach people how to do that, would you share with us one master tip of management or a rule that we should all doing or knowing?
So Challenge Plus at HEC is a fantastic training, and it's a great business school. It's, I think, one of the greatest in the world, and it was a privilege for me to be able to be trained there with fantastic teachers such as Etienne Krieger and others. It was fabulous, and they cannot teach you everything. Mm-hmm. But there will always be, it's a minefield in front of you. They would show you how to circumvent the big minds that would kill you, not get killed. You'd probably lose an arm or leg, but not getting killed is the way they will teach you. And probably one of the best teaching I had there. Of course, they always quote Etienne Krieger for saying that the cash is more important than your mother. And this is true. Cash is more important than your mother in the company, for sure.
I hope your mother isn't listening, André.
Even if she listens, I'm not sure she would understand. But my mother is really important for me. But the fact is that cash is really important. And but the real teaching I had is how to structure the capital of a company. How the stock is split among people, and how to distribute stock, and what is important of the stock, and how you let people become stockholders of your company is a very, very important matter that usually people neglect. And that's for me a real basis for this. plus also not become crazy when the thing starts working and keep cold-headed most of the time, because you have ups and downs. If you start having an up and your head becomes like really large and you start to be think that you're like a legend in your own brains and start to bug everyone around you, you'll have downturns, and then suddenly you'll feel really lonely at this time, lonelier than a pipette. As we say, success has thousands of fathers, but failure is lonely. And you will feel really lonely. If you're not like this, then people will support you. And this is important. So keeping low key, feeling equal with the people you're working with, even if you're in a success, don't think that you're a superstar, is something that's really important, because downturn will come.
So was that your secret to success?
I think it's an important. First of all, I don't consider myself as like a successful person. I'm serious. Maybe one time it will come. It will come. I know it's there somewhere. So we are. I think I'm towards success. So I'm super excited about what's about to come.
André, what would make you feel now I'm successful? You're running this enormous biotech company. You've been running it for 22 years.
No. Seriously, it's. If we can deliver to the market, to patients, drugs that can save lives and that can make the company also sustainable company, then I will consider this as a success. Today we save lives, but it's still drug in development, and we're really excited by the drugs we're developing. So we've been developing a series of different drugs between us and our partners, but when this will come to a BLA, so a biological license application, when it will be authorized for commercialization, I think it will be success. Nevertheless, I think part of the ability to sustain this journey towards the success, I think also being a modest person and understand that the people that are working with you are more important than you. And never feel that you are a VIP and the other people working with you, none of us are VIPs. And the people that waters the plants, that does the dishwashing in the lab, that makes the medium for experiments are as important as the CEO of the company. Because if you don't do a good dishwashing, if you don't do a good media, you can have months and months of failures in experiments. So you need these people to be at the top of what they're doing. After this, for example, the compensation can be different for numbers of reasons, because I bear most of the responsibility in the company. If the person that waters the plant don't waters the plant correctly, then that's okay. It's like the impact on the company would be different, but a bad decision on my side can be really impactful and impact a lot of lives of people working with me. But it's not importance, it's responsibility. This is a very important component of the way people live in this company.
With your experience in biotechnology, biotech industry, are there any tips we should bring back to academia? Do you see some of them?
One of the big difference between a biotech company and academic companies is the way people work. In academia, people work for themselves, their personal prestige in front of their peers in this field. And usually it makes you also very lonely as a pipette. Usually you're alone at your bench and you work maybe with few technicians, like postdocs and students and engineers, but you're the person and it's your experiments and the names on the papers are really important. There are fights around this, etc. It's not collective. And what I find fantastic in the biotech industry in general, especially in the labs, everyone brings a little brick to a big construction. And we do very complex work. It's super, super, super complex. Every day I say, oh my God, how complex it is. And everyone is contributing to a large component of a work that is a drug at the end that would save a life. But everyone shares part of the success. And the success of one in the company is the success of everyone. And the failure of one is the failure of everyone. which is not what you find in academia most of the time.
Could we bring that collective culture back to academia?
Yeah, how can we increase?
I think it could be possible if you change certain things, such as the way you evaluate people. Being part of a great work is prestige for me. And also the leaderships and the leaders in this field that need also maybe to reconsider their ego into this. And egos are really large. What I try to tame in a company is egos. Egos is your enemy. And I have no ego personally. I don't care, actually. People can insult me. It's fine, actually. I don't take it personally. Egos in academia is something that has to be worked on, and is usually people like names. What people strive for is, what I see is, it's not that much money. It's essentially what they strive for is, going in a big conference, everyone's sitting in the aisles, and everywhere there is like people on the walls, etc. And you make your presentation, everyone jumps at you afterwards. Then this is big time for them, because you publish like a Cell paper and a Nature paper, made the cover of Nature, etc. Then wow, this is like big time for them. Well, and that makes the difference. And like, it's more than like a large paycheck or a super bonus, which is not the case. For example, if you are working in the finance industry, where they don't care about the prestige, if they get the large paycheck or the huge bonus at the end of the year, then they're super happy and they can go and spend this money. I think in a company, if your product is successful, that's your reward at the end. Of course, the money is there, but the fact is that it's more what you can give to society in the biotech industry, especially when it's a drug that can save lives, that can make your personal reward at the end. You're proud of this, not of yourself.
Now, how do you keep up with the rapidly changing technologies in genome editing?
I don't feel that it's changing so much. When you look at gene editing, you have 4 technologies. So it's like homing nucleases, meganucleases, zinc finger nucleases, tau effector nucleases, and CRISPR nucleases. These are the 4 families. And the last one to be discovered is 2012 period. All the rest is like families and fits into these families. And I don't feel that it's rapidly changing. On the contrary, it's slow. Look at the whole planet is focused on CRISPR today. There's not a single scientist that doesn't do CRISPR. No one's doing TLP, no one's doing meganucleases, no one's doing like zinc fingers besides like Sangamo Precision Biosciences and us into this field. And we've treated more patients with TLP technology than the whole CRISPR industry. And TLP has been discovered 1 year before. So yeah, no, I'm not amazed by the huge success of the CRISPR technologies, notwithstanding the fact that everyone's working on it and it's not delivering as much as it is supposed to deliver. All these promises are coming. It's coming. Good. It's slow. Hey. So I don't feel the pulse. You're saying it's super rapid. Plus we find a lot of different difficulties with the CRISPR, because suddenly people understand that you have to know about DNA recombination after using a nuclease to cut DNA. How the DNA cutter dissociates from DNA, what's the speed and the KD between one side of the DNA and the other? Oh, the KD is super low on one side and very high on the other. Well, that would impact the way exonuclease is going to chew DNA afterwards. Somewhere like one side is going to be chewed in kilobases and the other is not going to be chewed at all, and that results in chromotripsis. Oh, that's a problem. Oh, yeah, there's zillions of paper that comes out like in 2021 in Nature and other type of papers that came up in the space. So it takes time. What's great about CRISPR on the other side, and also that was like mind-blowing, like my hair is still like this, is it's the accessibility of this technology. And that's why they got the Nobel Prize. And that definitely worth a Nobel Prize. It's an amazing Nobel Prize because it democratized gene editing in a snapshot. Unbelievable. In less than half of a year, every biologist became a gene editor. Why just before CRISPR, like there was only a handful of specialists, among them us, that could do gene editing. It was accessible for only kind of sorcerers that could edit genes. And CRISPR democratized this. This is it. But you don't become a real gene editor because like if you do CRISPR. And it's not mind-blowing.
So you've been in this space for a long time and thinking about this. As you say, the new technologies, maybe their biggest impact is the democratization. Are you concerned about the impact on ethical and societal issues around these technologies?
Of course, I'm worried about ethical problems.
You must have thought about this for years, right? So.
Yeah, it's more than gene editing. It's not only gene editing, gene therapy in general, and medicine in general, and the power of medicine in general is we're coming to a corner at the moment, because the power of medicine, especially with gene editing, is anti-Darwinian. It lifts any genetic pressure from people, and at the time, CRISPR or TALEN or other type of laser type of gene editing that would come in the future, I don't know what it's going to be, is going to be able to treat people having cystic fibrosis, Duchenne muscular dystrophy, Alport disease, name them, like what's called Aldrich, etc. All these diseases will be treated by gene therapy or gene editing or whatever it's going to be called. Ethics say you don't touch a germline. Fine. And you don't do any kind of sorting of people, or you cannot prevent people of fall in love with others, etc. So if you don't lift the pressure of the germline, and the somatic cells are cured, but not the germline, and you won't do any kind of selection in preventing people from reproducing, so people feel free to reproduce unless it's eugenistic to tell you cannot reproduce with this, or you can start sorting embryos at the time. It's also eugenism at a time. You will have a discrepancy that will be stronger and stronger between the germline that would be bugged with a lot of different type of mutation if you push the reasoning to the extreme with somatic cells that would be corrected. And I think that would become a problem at a time. So people have to take decisions. What human beings wants to turn into? People that are totally edited in all places, or you want to touch germline, which is today totally taboo, which I have no opinion beside this. Actually, I don't know. I'm not an ethicist. I'm not a philosopher, etc. I don't know. But this thing is a direction we're taking with the power, the extreme power of medicine that I foresee in the future, and this ethical problem coming in front of us, and that will have to be treated. Just saying ethics is we don't touch the germline, we don't touch embryos, but we treat somatic cells is going to lead to a problem at time. You don't do eugenics, you don't sort embryos, you don't prevent people of falling in love with each other and have kids together and sort their germlines is something that is ahead of us. Yes, it's difficult.
So I can see you're still so passionate about the science. Is there anything you miss about your days at the bench and academia?
Seriously? Yes, of course. I would love to have my own bench and do my experiments. But seriously, it's not my job to do this. I would seriously... even doing mini preps, I would love to do the mini preps or pouring.
People hate it when they have done tons of it.
First of all, if I go in the lab downstairs here, people would kill me if I touch a pipette. And the technologies have changed so much. But yeah, I definitely miss sometimes doing this. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I remember once I went to New England Biolabs in close to Gloucester in like Massachusetts, and the founder of like New England Biolabs had its own bench and lab for himself, so he was doing his own experiment. That's my dream.
Do you think there are things that we could do to improve the training for biology, for scientists, for students in biology, to help them think about transitioning to industry and making contributions in the biotech industry?
I don't think so personally. I think it should come from them. I think, like universities and academic centers should train these people to be the best scientists in the world. After this, you have to be open-minded to let them know that transition is something that they have to follow their feelings and their heart into this. And there is no taboo behind this. They're not going to lose their souls if they do science in an industry. And academia is a great place to do science. And there's other places where they can do science too. So to be super open-minded is enough. But teaching them to do this is not your role. Your role is just to let them know exactly what the best science to be done and respect the rule and have a great learning and understand how to learn the things and integrate that's enough. I think good companies are made of great scientists. So if you make great scientists, it will make great companies, and great science make great companies at the end.
But that's the Lonely Pipette is trying to help scientists become better science.
Yeah, it's a huge mission. It's a great mission.
Yeah.
So let's take a break. And after the break, we'll hear more about André himself.
Hey folks, don't run away. You're listening to The Lonely Pipette with Renaud Pourpre and Jonathan Weissman, where our goal is to help scientists do better science.
If you're enjoying the show and you want to learn more, you can follow us on Twitter at Lonely Pipette, and please share the podcast with your friends.
If you don't want to miss any of our future episodes, you can subscribe to our mailing list and join our community. Click on the subscription link on our Twitter account.
It's as simple as that. Take a few moments to get more tips from the Lonely Pipette. So welcome back. You're listening to The Lonely Pipette, and we're talking with André Choulika, the CEO of Selectis. So André, you told us all these things. You run a company and you have...
wait a second, Johnson. Like this interruptions, it was for commercial or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we don't have
we're being sponsored by your competitors.
Yes,
the CRISPR industry is so you're doing all these things. You're traveling around the world. Is there a morning routine? Like, how does the day start for André Choulika?
Well, yes, there is a morning routine. Usually, the mornings are mine.
Okay.
And I don't take meetings before 10 a.m. usually. So I wake up quite early in the morning. And
what does that mean? What does early mean?
Well, between 6 and 7. And usually I don't take meetings. I don't do anything. I don't go for breakfasts with people. Or this is the routine up to 10 o'clock where I've seen all my mails, etc. I take time with my family in the morning up to 9 a.m. So I take my time. It's my personal quality time with myself and maybe envisaging my work and start really interactions with people after 10.
Okay, and how do you keep a balance between all the things going on at work, keeping up with the science, managing the family?
First of all, people think that the CEO role is overwhelming and requires a lot of work, and these guys are super busy all the time, which is not true. It's totally wrong. Actually, I don't think I work more than other people in the company. I don't think I work more than you. I have a very good balance in my personal life because I organize myself well and I work with a great team. So I have a huge interaction with my executive committee and people working with me, and everyone's handling their work quite well. I think leadership is more important than management at my position, which leaves you a lot of free time to think about how you want to conduct the company, etc. So I think I have a great balance between, okay, I go back home late, around like 8 o'clock. And so I have like very short time to see little kiddies, etc. And plus my older ones are all working, but I take my time during the weekends and try to avoid bugging my partners during the weekend. I never call them. I never bug them unless there is a super important matter, which is quite rare in the year. But most of the time, I respect the time of my colleagues, and they respect my time. And this is why I think I have a great balance between my personal time and my work. However, when I'm at work, it's 100% of the time. I don't get distracted. I don't go for coffee time for all the time, like chatting in the corridors, etc. I discuss with people, but it's always one-on-ones or meetings, etc. And try to avoid as much possible meetings, lengthy meetings. It's really important. It's a successful meeting is a meeting that lasts less than the time you allocated time.
Wow, that's a good metric actually, because most of the time, like maybe this podcast, we take more time than that. So what is something about yourself that people will be surprised to discover?
Actually, I don't think that people could be surprised by, most of the time people are surprised by the way I am in the company. And the people, the way they behave with me, they come like, oh, they're the CEO and they're afraid, etc. People that know me well in the company and people that have been working with me here for 20 plus 21 years, etc., treat me as an equal, and no one would be surprised. First of all, my office is in an open space with everyone. I don't have an office that's larger than anyone, and everyone can come and discuss with me, and that can surprise people when they come in the company. So they keep this distance, which is not the culture of the company, and that could be a surprise. The second thing that could be, people think I'm maybe the smarter person in the company. There is like the people I work with are way smarter than me. So you can find people here that are way, way more qualified than me in a lot of different things. I'm just the organizer. I'm like the cohesion between people and try to bring some vision and coordination and good atmosphere. This is it.
Great. In the last 2 years, what belief or habits has most improved your life?
I do intermittent fasting. So I only have dinner. And so that buys you a lot of time. No breakfast, no lunch. And I replaced lunch by exercising. And so I work out at lunch.
So how do you survive?
Seriously, we eat too much. And so that has improved very much my life. And that's it.
Outside of science now, do you have an individual celebrity fiction character, whatever, that inspired you for your work and your life?
Well, but it's very common actually. It's like, yes, it's definitely Steve Jobs has been an inspiration for me.
What aspect of it?
It's the resilience he had, probably not on the personal side, because obviously on the personal side, like we're very far apart. I'm like a very family person and very close to my kids. I have 4 kids. I share very much with the others, but the way he has conducted and his extreme creativity, and the way he's conducted Apple has always been an inspiration for me. And I remember I've been always an Apple fan. And in the 90s, Apple was a real bad company while he was not the CEO because he was kicked out. He was the founder, kicked out. Yeah. And then when he came back, he took back this company and took it to where it was when he died. And this momentum that continuing today, making $1 trillion company is what I would call in the laws of leadership, the law of succession. And that's probably in the extension of what he did. And that's something that is very inspiring, I think.
What's an achievement in your life that you're particularly proud of? And why?
Oh, my kids, definitely. They're all great. But on the scientific side, it's I'm not proud of anything I've done. I think, no, seriously, proud is not the right word. If you come back in the early 90s to the first patent we filed in the field of gene editing, we described it all. We really had the idea, myself, Jean-François Nicolas, Bernard Dujon, and Arnaud Perrin, of the concept of how gene editing can be used as a therapeutic approach. It's written there. It comes from 1992. And I always believed in that. I'm a true believer. And I'm proud, that's something I'm proud of. I never gave up on this, never gave up.
So do you have a phrase on your office door? You don't have an office, so you don't have an office door. But if you could have like one phrase on your
that's my office. It's an open space.
So do you have something written up on the door? If you could have one phrase on a billboard on a what would it be?
It's the pleasure is in the journey, not in the goal. And that comes to your question, by the way. It's the question towards...
when things didn't go as planned, yeah.
is it never goes as planned. And you take the pleasure of fixing the things and fixing the shit. It's like you have to fix the shit all the time. And that's the real pleasure at the end. I love solving problems and I love moving forward and look back and say, okay, well, we moved forward. And then finally, when you get to the goal, when you get there, there is no pleasure. You're usually disappointed. It's like when you're doing an experiment too. So for the scientists, this is important. It's when you're planning your experiment, when doing experiment, failing it, starting again, etc., etc., etc. When you get your results, you're super excited, etc. When you submit your paper, you're super excited. When you get the results at the end and the paper is rejected, you're super disappointed. And finally, your paper is accepted at the end. Then it's bitter. And it could be bitter because it was so much stuff. And then finally, pleasure to take it from the start. You have the idea and all these things like the little experiment that you've done, the little results, and all these things from the daily life is what takes you there. But most of the time, it never goes as planned, most of the time. And it never goes as planned, not because there's something that went wrong. It's just because you don't understand the business. You've never done this before. Things that goes wrong is normal. As you never experienced this, you finally feel that it goes wrong, but it's normal that things goes wrong. This difficulty is the lack of knowledge of what lays ahead of you. And that's why things goes wrong.
So can you identify one of these apparent failure or this failure that you cannot avoid that set you for a really good success later?
Well, when you start, for example, a clinical trial and you would like to put a technology that has never been injected into a single human beings with gene editing, etc., you have the feeling that the things will go as planned. So you're going to enroll patient one after another, and you go on an indication. You don't even know what this indication is because you're not a physician. I'm not a hem-onc doctor. I've never been treating people. And it's acute myeloid leukemia, and don't know what acute myeloid leukemia is besides reading paper and like have a kind of an indication on. You've never seen a patient having acute myeloid leukemia, and the patient dies, and you have a hold, and then you see that your product is not behaving the way you want to see your product, and the whole world crashes, and the stock tumbles, and everyone thinks that your product is a failure, etc. It is tough to recover from these things. And that's why I'm saying if I knew that this could happen, and that would have probably been planned, but it was not planned because I had no idea. And probably avoiding these things is experience, but experience is the memory of past mistakes. So going through these past mistakes is something that is really tough. But the real resilience is believing in what you're doing and taking back this product, putting it back in the clinic, rebuilding the product, and then back on tracks. Keeping faith. This is it.
Yeah, if you don't believe it, nobody is going to believe it.
It's going to happen again afterwards. It happened again, etc., etc. But keeping faith is really important. And the problem is that you're not playing, but you are trying to save lives, and you're interacting with real human beings at the end.
So we're going to wrap up. One question we like to ask at the end is, what advice would you give yourself if you met yourself 20 years ago?
20 or 35 years ago?
25, 30, the young André.
Let's say 25 years ago.
So before the company.
Because I was still a scientist at the bench. But, it's the joy of what lays ahead of you and being it's dropping all the inhibition that I had at this time. We always have tons of inhibition. You're talking about the money, being scared of losing money and being broke at the end, etc. All these are inhibition of crossing the bridge and going and doing something. You really have the feeling that you want to do this. Drop your inhibition. No inhibition is a great life. And especially if you have good temper. Some people have no good temper and have no inhibition. I'm not talking about these guys. I'm talking about people who have good sentiments and have no inhibition besides the lives. This is the thing that I would give myself an advice and move forward in what I believed in. Stick to your beliefs. Don't listen to smart asses.
So where can people find out more about you and your work?
Well, people can find more about me and my work on internet. They can type my name. There's plenty of things, good and bad. The website of the company, I don't know. It's there's I have tons of intervention and videos. It's not difficult to find information on myself.
Is there anything else you would like to add to close this podcast?
Well, yeah, I'd like to add one thing to people feeling lonely with their pipettes is that they are in the best area of work in the world. It's a fascinating area. It's tough. It's a lot of roadblocks, but it's the highest and the best adventure people are living in their lives. Adventure is not crossing the ocean on a little boat or on a sailboat or crossing the Atlantic or the Pacific or the North Pole or South Pole. This is not adventure. The real adventure is biotechnology and science and life sciences. This is real, like physics also, but definitely life sciences and the way life sciences is evolving is a huge adventure. Be happy to be there and be proud and move forward.
Sounds good.
Wow.
Great things will happen.
Thank you very much, André. Thank you for giving us this time. Thank you for sharing that energy that you have, that you're known for. And
thanks for interviewing me. It's a pleasure.
So that's it for this episode. Thank you for joining us at the Lonely Pipette.
We hope that you learned something new, that something resonated with your own experiences, or that you just enjoyed the science.
Let us know your thoughts on Twitter at Lonely Pipette, and please share it with your friends in the lab. If you want to join our community, you can subscribe to the Lonely Pipette mailing list or mail us by following the link available on our Twitter profile. You will receive the next episodes directly in your mailbox. How cool is that?
Stay tuned for the next show, and remember, you might feel like a lonely pipette, but it doesn't mean you're alone. Tips from the Lonely Pipette can help you to do better science.
À bientôt!
À bientôt!
Hey guys, one last thing to finish up. If you like the soundtrack of the show, you might want to know who is the artist behind it. The song is called Lovely Swindler by Amaria, a talented French artist who composes electro swing. We are really grateful for allowing us to use it, and if you like it too, the best thing to do is to share it. Thanks again, and see you soon.